Remarkable isn't a tech company like many others. Rather than produce new versions of the same product every year with iterative changes, it tends to move a lot slower. But after 4 years, it's finally upgraded its paper tablet with this, the Remarkable Paper Pro. Now, this slow approach to tech means you buy one, you invest in something that will last you for years, and is perhaps one reason why the company can get away with charging quite a lot of money for one. Is it worth it though? I'm Cam Bunton, this is Trusted Reviews, let's dive in. For those unfamiliar, the appeal for these paper tablets from Remarkable is that they get really close to mimicking the feel, the texture and experience of using a pen and paper, but without all the waste in forms of dozens and dozens of notebooks stacked up on shelves. And they do it without loading the tablet with lots of other features. You can't install other apps on it, so there's no social media hogging your attention with relentless notifications. It's a notebook first, designed to do the things that books can do, but do them digitally without the chaos and distraction that comes with the so-called proper tablet. With the Remarkable in particular, there's a lot of focus and attention placed on the design of the tablet, both from an aesthetic and a tactile experience. You get the sense that while they were taking their own sweet time over developing this Pro model, they put a lot of thought into this. For instance, the metal frame that rounds the edges has subtle ridges or grooves in it, designed to mimic the feel of holding a stack of paper. What's more, there are rubber feet on each corner which are much larger than the little nubbins that the Remarkable 2 had, and so that when you place it flat on its back, it's just not going to slip around. You can write on it as you would a book without needing to hold it steady with your other hand. If you've ever used an iPad for this, you'll know that can be an issue. But more of an issue on traditional tablets is that the glass on the front is slippery and shiny, so writing on it can be difficult. So when you're writing on it with an Apple Pencil, it's hard to get any accuracy, or you have to be extra precise and concentrate a little more to write clearly. With the Remarkable Paper Pro, like the second generation tablet that came before, you can really just relax and use it like it's a piece of paper. It's got texture to it. There's just enough friction to stop the pen or the stylus from slipping about all over the place. Now, compared to the Remarkable 2, it is bigger. In fact, it's gained about 120 grams in weight because it's thicker and larger. It doesn't have that same feeling of impossible slimness that the last model had, but then when you're incorporating a light into the display and a bigger battery, that's going to add some heft. It's also more durable than the last one and uses more recycled materials. 50% of the cobalt used in it is recycled, as an example. There are other physical design features worth mentioning, like the fact that on the right edge you can magnetically attach the pen, and with the pen tip pointing downwards it also charges wirelessly when it's attached. Why there's an active pen this year, I don't know, but we'll get to that a bit later. There are also contact points on the back designed for attaching accessories like the Type Folio, which lets you use a QWERTY keyboard and type your documents in those moments where you don't feel like handwriting. The biggest new feature on the Paper Pro, however, is of course the display. Not only is it a color e-ink display replacing the monochrome model from last time, it's also got a light. So you can use it at any time of the day, even if you're in bed at night time. Just as important is that the display area itself is now larger than before. It's gone up to 11.8 inches from 10.3 inches on the Remarkable 2. It seems obvious to say, but the expansion and the slimming of the bezels on the left and the right means it never feels like you're limited by margins. Sometimes with the Remarkable 2, I would feel a little bit cramped when I was filling out my notebooks. I don't get that feeling with the Paper Pro. That extra space has made quite a lot of difference. It also helps when doing things like reading PDF documents, which expand to fill more space and require less zooming in to read. And the addition of a splash of color definitely helps too, or at least adds to the feeling of being able to express yourself a little more and to organize things a little bit more clearly. It is an e-ink display still, so it's worth tempering expectations a little, because it's nowhere near as bright and vibrant as the colors on an LCD or an OLED-based display. Still, it does mean that it's easier to add splashes of distinction. So for instance, if you want to highlight items in a to-do list to note that you've completed them, you can. And unlike Remarkable 2, the color shows on the tablet itself. You're not forced to open the smartphone or desktop app just to see that color. Similarly, if you want to break apart sections of your document or notebook by underlining or giving section titles or a different color to the rest of the text, you can. You're no longer staring at a page that's entirely black and white. If nothing else, it makes it easier to find things, and it saves feedback or sideline notes from getting lost in a sea of monochrome. And the addition of a light means you're no longer going to be squinting in darker environments just to see what you've written. You're not limited by ambient lighting conditions anymore. It is worth noting here that it doesn't feel as fully capable as the front lighting system on Amazon's Kindle devices. It's nowhere near as bright in comparison, and you can't adjust the temperature to make it warmer either. So you get what it is, and it's quite a subtle light. Still, the important thing is that it's bright enough that it makes the display easy to read at nighttime. And I also really like how that light seems to spill slightly over the edges of the display, so you end up with this subtle glow around all four sides, like it's blending in with the bezel around it. Now, when moving to talk about features, you could easily point at a device like the Onyx Book tablet and bemoan the lack of functionality and features, because that tablet lets you install Android games and apps from the Play Store, where the Remarkable doesn't. But with Remarkable, to coin a popular and very overused phrase, it's very much a case of less is more. The fact it doesn't have those things that a normal tablet or smartphone has is exactly the reason that I keep going back to the Remarkable over any other form of paper tablet. Because once I set down to write up a to-do list or use the keyboard to type a script or a review, I know that's what I'm going to end up doing. There's no chance I'll be disturbed by email or messages or end up losing focus by going to browse sports news sites or lose too much time playing Jetpack Joyride. In this case, having that feature restriction works in its favour. Big time. What's also worth noting here is that while hardware upgrades are few and far between with Remarkable, which again I think is a good thing, the company has been steadily improving its software and services over the past few years to make these devices better over time with free software updates that you can just download, making that initial investment seem better value as time goes on. When writing, you can access two different pen types at a time using the sidebar. So for instance, you can have a ballpoint pen and a highlighter for making lists, highlighting texts, or without having to mess around with lots of drop-down menu selections. And when you're not writing or using it as a notebook, you can read EPUB files. Of course, it's not as convenient as using a Kindle Scribe for downloading books from the Kindle store. With Remarkable, you need to use the desktop app to drag and drop EPUB files to your library. There's also integration with things like Google Drive, Microsoft's OneDrive, and Dropbox, but this is quite a limited experience. You can't really edit files live. You have to download them, then you can edit them, and then re-upload them. But there are a few more notable, actually noticeable upgrades in this tablet, and one of those is the faster refresh rates when writing or typing in monochrome. There's very little delay between the movement of the Marker Plus, which is the name of the pen, and the appearance of the e-ink on the display. It's a similar feeling when scrolling up and down through pages to find more space. That faster scrolling really helps when you need to make notes in a hurry. And being e-ink, of course, it's not perfect. Anything written in color is slow to appear, needing a display refresh to display. It's also a similar feel when using the eraser function to wipe out and correct any mistakes, but e-ink being e-ink, it's to be expected. And if I'm honest, neither of those quirks really bothered me at all. The overall improved zippiness translates to a smooth and pain-free experience. It's a similar feel when talking about battery life. We tested it with the display set to its maximum brightness, and it seems to be able to handle about 2 weeks between charges, using it every day as a planner and a note-taking device. That meets the promise Remarkable makes about its increased battery capacity. Of course, it is difficult to precisely track battery life on a battery that goes as long as this does. You'll almost certainly find your mileage will vary if you do a lot of reading of colour ebooks and comics, where the e-ink panel needs refreshing frequently. If you're a lighter user and you don't use the backlight all that much, you might find you do more than 2 weeks on a full charge. In the end, the Remarkable Paper Pro is a stunning notebook replacement, one that's slotted right into my daily life and improves on the older Remarkable 2 in a number of important ways, but there is a big caveat here. The Remarkable 2 is still the one I'd recommend to most people, especially if you don't anticipate needing that light on the screen or even the colour display. It's slimmer, lighter, and does pretty much all of the same stuff. And crucially, it's a lot cheaper. The new tablet does come bundled with a pen, or the Marker as it's called, as standard, but that means the entry-level price is also pushed up. In the UK, you're looking at a minimum of £559, or $579 in the US. That's essentially a £200 or $200 jump from the older model. If you want the Marker Plus with the built-in eraser on the end, that's another £40 or $50, and if you want a case, that's another £80 or $90. And as for the Typefolio with a keyboard, yeah, that's an extra couple hundred. So in the end, let's say for argument that you wanted that full bundle with the pen, the case, the Typefolio and the tablet, you're looking at over £800 or $900. With that sort of money, you can almost get an iPad Air with the Apple Pencil and the Magic Keyboard, and you get a proper tablet. Still, I think a big part of the investment is in that feel of purposeful, slow tech. It's a tool, it won't distract you, and it's almost as good at being pen and paper as, well, pen and paper. Let me know what you think of the Remarkable Paper Pro in the comments down below, or you can get me on social media. I'm at Cam Bunton. If you did like this video, please do leave a thumbs up, subscribe, and tap that notification bell, and I'll see you again in the next one. Thanks so much for watching. Bye bye.